just dropped off at the farm on the way home from work, and I was just taking a look at some things, and this inner cover is just so damp because it's just raw wood. It's not treated at all, like it's no paint or wax on it, and that's just seeping in. That's just moisture seeping into the hive. And so next warm day, I mean it's warm right now, I could probably do it today, but I just didn't have any gear with me. But this has got to go. I don't like that. And this is a typical inner cover that's sold by certain companies that I won't name, but I don't know, I don't like it. I've never been a fan of this kind of cover. I'm just gonna phase them out of my beekeeping, I think. Just my personal choice, but I don't like it. Lots of cleansing flights happening today. In fact, you can smell the stink from it. And I was just sitting here and a bee pooped and it landed on my nose. And man, does it ever give out a good stink. Hopefully they're okay, but I just don't have time today to fart around with them. They're looking okay, but I gotta remember next time I come out here, I'm bringing a new inner cover for them. And these guys, they're not flying, but I assume they're good. And I've got these little shelters over the bottom entrances. I think they're working, but I don't need to make them out of this stuff anymore. I can just get a piece of solid plastic, like corrugated plastic or something. I think that would work just as well. And hey, look at that. A hive tool in the snow. And the next time I put on this wrap, I'm just not going to bother with this silver tape. I don't think it works. It's unnecessary. You can see some bees just filling up the... It's a bit poopy. Here's a bee. This is fun. I've got a colony of bees living in this hive, and they're low on honey, and I tossed in some comb honey over the top bars, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And when I look at them now, you can see them right over the... They're still over it. And they're hungry. I can tell they're just hungry. So it's time to see. This is the problem too. You put food in. Sometimes you put a bit of food in, and if you ever have to put any more food in afterwards, it's a big pain because you got all those bees clustered all over the food you gave them before, and you got to get that out of the way. And I don't know what I'm gonna do about this, but yeah, good times. I was going to put on some pollen patties, but that's just too much junk to deal with. So what I'll do is they don't look like they're going to starve right away, but I think they're getting close to getting pretty hungry. So I'm going to wait for a warm day, an unusually warm day. We'll get one eventually, I hope. And I'll clean that up and I'll put some more sugar on there, something that's probably a brick, and then I'll dump on the pollen patties. I could smoke them and get them out of the way, but I'm just not in the mood to do that right now. And it's also just like there's no wind right now, but it's just too cold to expose the bees that much. If it was just a brick, I could just go and drop a brick on them, but I don't have any bricks right now. So anyway, for another day. They will not die. They're okay. But this is the setup, by the way, that I've got in this hive. This is the inner cover, and I'm getting out of using these inner covers. I'm going back to my solid plywood inner covers. There's never any problems with those, and I always have little issues with these other ones. But anyway, that's just me. And they've got a little bit of a... You can see them down there. And so yeah, they've got a screen over the inner cover hole, and this here foil insulation, bubble wrap foil insulation. And then I've got a little bit of just a little pillow. This happens to be a burlap pillow, but I think the cotton pillows work just as well. And it's full of wood chips and straw. Provides a bit of insulation, keeps a little bit of heat in, but it's porous enough to allow any kind of excess moisture, hot moisture, to escape and evaporate out the hive and keep the bees warm and dry. But I'm not going to mess with them today because that looks like a mess. Now the bees in this hive, they got a sugar brick a while ago. I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, something like that. And there was some pollen in there too, a bit of a pollen patty. That's probably where some of this excrement is coming from. Pollen patties provide, well, they don't provide, they fill the bees' guts up with solid food that they need to poop out. Anyway, so that's probably where that came from. Anyway, let's take a quick look. Alright, there they go. It's actually not too bad, and there's the pollen patty underneath it. So, yeah. A little bit of poop right there, which I don't like to see, but that happens. Nothing, no major poop. If you look closely, you can see them start chewing at it. I can just feel, the moisture inside that hive, so they've got enough moisture in there to dissolve that sugar. And I'll put it back together. Doing this with one hand and my cell phone. And this is essentially a ventilation rim. Some people call them a ventilation box or vent box. I kind of get that. It's kind of like a super, but it's a rim to me. And there you go. So they don't need any pollen. So this is one of the cotton pillowcases that I filled with straw and wood chips. Oof, look at this. You can see those bees right. See that? Oh, can see it? There they are. So they're clustering kind of high. And have I even given them any? I don't think no, I haven't. I haven't put on a, shoot. Have I not? I don't think I gave them a rim yet. Doesn't look like it. Yeah. Shoot. Oh, geez, I totally forgot about that. Let me just check. Huh. Okay. Yeah. Whoops. So they need a rim. They're clustering high. Now they might be fine, but I don't think they are. Shoot. Okay. Well, anyway. This is my pillow, doing its job, keeping them wet, warm and dry. And I was going to give them a pollen patty, but I can't do that while they don't have a rim. So I have to wait for a nice warm day, smack a rim on. I got to peel all this tape off and get a rim on there quick. So probably what'll happen is I'll put a rim on, get it on real quick, and if the bees are riled up, I'll just leave it alone and then come back later or the next day. And yeah, okay, that's unexpected. All right, this is kind of neat. So this colony is definitely on the verge of, well, it's not a strong colony. So I gave them a big brick of sugar, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And if you take a quick look, I'll show you what they're doing. There it is. They're right underneath that sugar brick, and they're eating it. So that you can see, like, that's not a big cluster at all. It's like very small. I do not have high hopes for them. But you can see they're getting at it. I'm gonna just touch the brick. Oh yeah, yeah, there's enough moisture in there. They're doing okay. I mean, you know, they're not big. And I think I can't remember, but I think there's a pollen patty in there, so they've got everything I can give them. But yeah, that colony was, it was a late season, I won't get into it really, but more or less it was a late season split that just didn't have a chance to build up. It was just a small cluster, and really I should have just combined them with another cluster, another colony, but I didn't. Yeah, I should have combined them with a stronger colony, and I blew it, and now they're just weak. So I'll probably just combine them in the spring. This is one of the hives that I tacked on some canvas over the inner cover hole, probably not even a week ago now, and decided almost immediately that I did not want to do that. And so I've put the mesh back over the inner cover hole again, and I tacked it on, and I got the tacks on so that I don't have them pushed all the way in, flat in like this one. I've got them, most of them on an angle, so it's easier to pop them off. But anyway, if you look down here, there's no bees. That's a dead bee there, but yeah, they're still clustered way down below. So I could give them sugar and I could give them pollen patty, but what's the point? Because they're way down there, right? So I don't mind that one bit. I guess it wouldn't hurt to be able to give them some pollen and get the queen laying early and all that jazz. And I might. Maybe if I wrap them, they'll be able to break cluster, and maybe I can get the queen laying earlier. I don't know. But again, I've been experimenting over the past, well, 5 years with not wrapping my hives, and some of them do better without wrap, or do fine without wrap. There's no difference. And others, well, I'm going to find out if they make a difference, because I've got a bunch of wrap on some of my hives this year. But the best colonies that I had last year were not wrapped, and I don't think wrapping had anything to do with their success. I think it was 95% to do with the location of the colonies. The hives were just in a really nice spot, which is not where I am right now. I'm in Flat Rock. So this is the other hive that I added the canvas to, and you can see there's no bees clustering up on top. So again, they're clustered down below, which is, not a bad thing, I don't think. Let's see. Oh. I've got a couple of holes down here. I wonder if I can see what they're doing down there. Okay. No, they're not clustered on that side. I could just see if I can open this up. Where the cork expands and contracts. Let's see if I can see if we can see them in there. No, I don't know where they are. They're in there though. I think they're just clustered way down below. Anyway, so I'm not going to worry about them. I mean, what can I do? I can't give them sugar or anything because they're so far down below. I can't. They're not even close to the top yet. So they're not that starving. I also have holes drilled in the ends, on the back end of my inner covers, and I do that for. Originally did that for extra ventilation,